Today you're going to learn how to get big guitars. I'm going to show you a quick and easy production trick that can really help you get a more massive and exciting sound. But before we dive in, make sure to check out the companion guide to this video, the guitar cheat sheet. You can download your copy for free by following the link in the description. Now, let's get to the fun stuff. What is up? Jake with Musician on a Mission. We are talking about humongous guitars, big, massive, impactful, exciting guitars. So I'm going to start this clip and we're going to start with the effect off and then we're going to turn it on so you can hear the difference that this makes. Here we go. Okay, it can be kind of subtle, so I'm actually going to exaggerate this just a little bit. Okay, so you heard that there is a little bit more energy here. There's some brightness. There's a lot of bitiness here and just kind of opening up this chorus and making it sound bigger and more interesting in general, right? And all we did here was just a little bit of layering. We layered in a couple extra tracks to give that chorus more impact. So keep watching and I'm going to walk you through it step by step. Then I'll give you some tips on how you can take this technique to the next level. So step number one here is to double track bass guitars. So I double tracked my bass guitars and swung them hard left and hard right to mimic what we're doing with our rhythm guitars here. Here's what they sound like. Okay, nothing too special. It's just a totally clean DI bass guitar. Now, you can use a baritone guitar or a synth patch for this technique, totally up to you. I just prefer bass because it sounds nice and fat and natural, and it's just fun to play. I like playing bass. So I recorded just the single notes of the bass, just the root of the guitar, and I recorded that in the same octave as the guitar. But by all means, experiment with the lower octave too. It might just be what your song needs for that extra thickness. I just tend to have the most success with that higher octave. It doesn't muddy up the mix as much, and it doesn't kind of get in the way of the other low-end elements like the actual bass and the kick. So that's step number one, double track your bass guitars. Step number two is to add some dirt to create some bite and some excitement here, okay? So let me show you what I got going on here. We've got the Logic pedal board, and I'm just running these bass guitars through a distortion pedal on the pedal board. Let's take a listen. Okay, talk about bite and excitement. That is dirty. So you could experiment with different types of overdrives, distortions, fuzz pedals, saturation plugins. You can even throw a pedal in front of the bass on the way in. The point is to throw some dirt on it. Make it sound gross. Make it sound ugly. Okay? So step number three, and this is the final step, is to blend to taste. So we'll go ahead and do that. Nice. So I like to blend this effect in just subtly. I just like to kind of tuck it in just to give the listener a little bit of extra ear candy in the sides of the headphones or the sides of the speakers. So that's all. That's the trick. Super easy. Now let's talk about some tips that you can use to kind of create a little bit of variation and character and really just ways to kind of have fun with this. So I already mentioned this a little bit earlier, but tip number one is to try different tones. So we're talking about distortion here. We've got this rat pedal going on, but you can swap this out for whatever you like. Let's say, I don't know, let's do like an overdrive kind of thing. right? And I'm just going to copy this over to our right side. Now let's listen to that. Let's hear how that sounds in context. Okay, the overdrive sounds like it's just kind of thickening things up a little bit more in the low mids and not introducing as much excitement and kind of that crackliness that the distortion gave us in the high end, right? Let's do something completely different. Let's talk about adding maybe some fuzz. You could add some fuzz here. So let's just crank this. Let's make it ugly. Bam. So we got fuzz going on both sides. Let's listen to that and see what that sounds like. Okay, a little bit more kind of choked. Let's blend that in. Again, just giving us some more thickness, but it's also got some of that bite on the top end that I personally like, but not really that crazy about it for this track. You can also use, what do we talk about? Overdrive, we talked about some fuzz. You could also use like an amp sim. So let's say I just went into Logic's just stock amp designer and I wanted to do high octane. That seems like it's going to be ugly, right? So let's copy that over and hear what that sounds like. Oh, that's pretty nasty. Let's crank the gain on that. Oh, totally gross. We got to cut the bass on that there too, right? Okay, let's blend that to taste. Okay, cool. So you could use amp sims. Again, not really crazy about that one as much as I was the distortion pedal. I still like that emulation of the rat pedal. Let's see, what else could we do? We can do some saturation if you wanted to use, let's see, let's go down here. Let's use this, New York. This is kind of a bitey kind of saturation here. And I'm going to just drive this saturation. So I'm just going to crank the signal in and we're going to pump this preamp up and then we're going to bring the signal back down. So we're just pushing this emulation of a preamp here to create some real thickness and some real dirt. Let's hear what that sounds like. First, I'm going to copy it over to our track on the right. Let's listen. Okay, and let's trim it up. Yeah, we could stand to leave that at 0. Copying those settings. No, that's ugly. That's gross. So let's blend that to taste in context. Okay, so just a few different ways to kind of have fun with this. Another tip is to vary the sides. to make for a more interesting texture. So if I were to go here, let's bring back our rat pedal. I think I still like that one the most. So let's kind of crank that up. All right, so we've got this on the left, and I'm gonna turn off my groups so we can kind of edit these individually. So I've got this here on the left, and then I've got this one on the right. You could do something like this, where you've got a distortion on the left side and then a fuzz on the right side. Let's dial that in a little bit. So now we've got some variation in the sides here, and let's blend that to taste. Okay, and then you could, the options are limitless here, right? You could have one type of amp on the left side. You could have another type of amp on the right side, different distortion pedals, one for either side. You can get as crazy with this as you want. So tip number 3 here is called the wah pedal effect. And you can use this to just kind of get a little extra kind of mid-range poking through here. So I am going to go back to my rat pedals here. I'm going to crank the distortion on both of these. Let's listen just to make sure we've got these set. Okay, that sounds good to me. So the wah pedal effect. I'm going to bring in a wah pedal on this side, and we're going to experiment with the mid-range here. So just in bass guitar number 1. Right there, kind of a funky kind of area as far as mid-range goes there. Now let's go, and the idea here is to make the right side different than the left side. So let's take the right side, dial this in. Now let's listen to both of them. So instead of varying the sides with different types of distortion pedals and different types of simulators, now we're just adjusting the wah pedal to focus on a particular mid-range frequency. Yeah, I know, it doesn't sound that great in solo, but let's blend it in. Let's tuck it in with the rest of our guitar tracks, blend it to taste, let's see what it does. Okay, it's just a different texture and it hits the ear in a little bit of a different way. So definitely something to kind of play around with. Now, tip number 4 is to try power chords instead of single notes. Okay, so I went ahead and I recorded some bass here, but instead of the single notes, we did power chords. Let's take a listen. Okay, now add our rat pedal there. Okay, super chunky. Now let's blend to taste. Okay, and a reason to actually use power chords instead of single notes is that they can really help to kind of thicken things up even more. but just be careful with these. I have a little bit more success with the single notes. I don't know, I just find that the power chords can make the guitars sound a little too mushy, and it kind of kills the definition a little bit. But again, just experiment with these things and come to your own conclusions. So that's the quick production trick for how to get big guitars, but this is just a small guitar mixing trick. There are a ton of other things you have to nail if you want your music to sound pro. So my friend Rob here, the founder of Musician on a Mission, put together a free workshop where he shares the 7 steps to making radio-ready music in your own home studio. It's a new approach to home recording and mixing that has already helped over 36,000 people see results in a matter of days. So if you're ready to avoid wasting time, money, and effort on the wrong things, and if you want to learn the exact 7 steps that are going to take your mixes to pro level in under a year, then go and watch the free workshop. You can either click the link you see on the screen now or head to the link in the description to get instant access. It's completely free. Make sure to check it out. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. This is Jake with Musician on a Mission signing off. Remember to have fun and create regardless.